Welcome to the Nevis Newscast for Friday, July 10th, 2020. I am Bronte Swanston Hendrickson.
On Friday, July 10th, St. Kitts and Nevis recorded an additional case of COVID-19. The announcement was made by Minister of Health, the Honorable Akila Byron Nisbet, at about 2:20 p.m.
This brings the total number of confirmed cases to 17. The patient is a frontline healthcare worker who would have provided care to the previously announced case. Now that confirmation of COVID-19 has been received, the patient is subjected to mandatory isolation in order to limit the likelihood of transmission to others. All the contacts of the patient would be subject to strict quarantine and testing. The distribution of confirmed COVID-19 cases in the Federation is now as follows: 13 in St. Kitts and 4 in Nevis.
Minister Byron Nisbet advised that the Federal Ministry of Health remains the only official source of information on COVID-19 in the nation.
Feel free to call the Ministry of Health 869-467-1172 or 1108, or the COVID-19 hotline 311 if you have any questions or concerns.
The health minister also used the opportunity to remind residents of their responsibility to adhere to the COVID-19 prevention measures, which include physical distancing, the wearing of face masks in public places, hand hygiene, and avoiding mass gatherings. I am Fredicia Liebert reporting for the Nevis Newscast.
A courtesy call was paid on Federal Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, by Caribbean Agriculture Research and Development Institute CARDI representative for St. Kitts and Nevis, Christian Fleming, and technical specialist for the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, AICA, Sharon Jones, at his office on Thursday, July 9th, 2020.
Agriculture still has a role to play in our overall development. COVID-19 would have certainly taught us some lessons, and from those lessons we're hoping to build a more vibrant and a solid sector moving forward. There is indeed some interest that our people have shown, both in St. Kitts and Nevis, and we want to harness those interests to realize some significant improvement in the lives and the livelihood of our people who would depend on agriculture to feed ourselves in the event that we have additional difficulties such as COVID-19 to deal with. So these meetings, I believe, will bring about some platform for us to build on, and of course it will certainly give us some ways and means that we can strengthen the relationship among us as a country and as institutions that have been partners with us over the years.
Outlining the purpose of the involvement was the CARDI representative for St. Kitts and Nevis, Christian Fleming. He also noted that CARDI is partnering with AICA to reinvent the wheel to the benefit of the islands.
My objective and my goal here in St. Kitts and Nevis is to develop help develop resilience within the sector. And I believe, as you mentioned earlier, part of that strategy would be, diversifying our sector quite a lot and paying particular focus onto those things that we can do well, as opposed to trying to target too many areas at one point. Really zeroing on those things that we have the resources for, we have the technical expertise, the local knowledge, which is really a great asset as we move forward, as well as the technical support from the Ministry of Agriculture, as well as the allied institutions. I'm really glad to be here together with AICA, and I believe this is the MO we want going forward, where we are all beating the same drum and speaking and singing the same tune.
Following the interview, a meeting was held where they discussed further opportunities for the development of agriculture in the Federation. The two-member team, along with the Minister of Agriculture, has been visiting a number of farms and other agriculture-related projects on both islands to see how they can best assist in the development of agriculture. Some 35 children from 25 families have benefited from Disaster Readiness Training for Children and Parents, which was hosted by the Department of Social Services Family Services Division. Director of the Department of Social Services, Sandra Morton, chaired the closing ceremony on Thursday, July 9th.
It was our department's response to UNICEF's call for more action to incorporate disaster readiness into our region's child protection work. The program aimed at strengthening children's readiness and response in natural disasters and home hazards. Through this training, we hope that the skills the children gained would help them to make informed decisions and increase their resilience in the event they ever have to encounter these unfortunate events. Parents were brought into a session where they discussed with their own family and completed disaster communication plans and emergency information forms and made decisions and documented where they would want their children and who to contact locally or overseas if they were unable to see to these affairs after a disaster.
Supervisor of the Family Services Division, Anesta Maynard Wallace, expressed appreciation to the parents for allowing the children to participate.
We covered such topics as preparing and responding to hurricane, psychotrauma events, how do I cope, my social media life, is that a hazard, earthquake. They learned CPR, and then we had the family discussion. It was a very informative session, and it's something that we should continue doing with our children and teens. The ones that are closer to 18, 19, we need to engage them as well, because I think they could benefit from that as well.
To facilitate the training, the Department of Social Services received funding assistance from the United Nations International Children's Fund, UNICEF, which also sponsored disaster preparedness kits and first aid kits for the families.
My name is Dolores, and I have 2 children in the social services program, and I'm very thankful for them. They haven't let me down. They've been with me throughout the time they have been there, and I thank the whole team very much. And Esther Maynard, you have been very wonderful. And the staff, I cannot complain. I would like to say thank you on behalf of all the parents, especially those who are not here. I'm very thankful for everything I've been given. The children, the session for the disaster program, they enjoyed it. Oh, the CPR was great. They loved practicing on each other and on the dollies and stuff like that. So they had a great time. So again, I'll say thank you to everyone, and especially to social services. Keep up the good work.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Social Development, Keith Glasgow, presented the gifts. He also thanked all the stakeholders for their involvement in the initiative. Prime Minister the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris joined his colleagues for a virtual meeting of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States OECS Authority on Thursday, July 9th, when several matters of importance to the sub-region were discussed at length. Prime Minister Harris was supported in that meeting by Minister of Health the Honorable Akila Byron Nisbet, former Senior Minister Vance Amory, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Kay Bass, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws, and Ambassador to the OECS and CARICOM, His Excellency Sidney Osborne. The main item discussed surrounded the opening of borders and protocols regarding the management of tourists. On March 25th, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, like other OECS territories, took the decision to close its borders to all commercial airline flights to protect citizens and residents against COVID-19. However, flights for medical emergencies and international air cargo and cargo by seafaring vessels were exempted to maintain connectivity and enable the Federation to import food, fuel, medical supplies, and equipment. Prime Minister Harris recently described the matter of the reopening of borders as an important but complex issue. Coming out of Thursday's virtual meeting, Prime Minister Harris said OECS heads will be in a better position to make a reasoned judgment as to the best approach on this matter. Calypsonians, soca artists, and music producers are being given the opportunity to create the sound of Nevis through their participation in the Nevis Song Competition. The contest is a collaboration between the Nevis Tourism Authority and the Nevis Culturama Secretariat.
This competition was derived from a concept that came from a meeting that we had. There were some songs that were Nevis specific in the past, and we thought it would be great to give it a fresh spin. It would help us kind of market in the destination. We want to encourage musicians, creatives, really and truly. I think music is a part of culture. Culture is very important to the destination, and I think that can be seen globally. We've seen that in many cases, like Bob Marley in Jamaica, and how the connection has been made. So we wanted to also connect creatives with outside producers and artists. So we are actually, one of the prizes would be, if it's a soca or a calypso, they would be able to be featured on a rhythm of a regional producer, and we think that would be pretty cool to kind of show some kind of collaboration that we think is important to kind of raise the profile of Nevis as a destination.
Jadine Yard is the CEO of the Nevis Tourism Authority, while Antonio Liburd is the Executive Director of the Culturama Secretariat.
All participants must be Nevisians either by birth or by descent, or nationals who have resided in Nevis for not less than 12 months before entering the competition. Participants must be 16 years and above, and the persons who enter this competition, they must make themselves available to meet all the commitments and responsibilities that may be required of the winner of the competition. Let's suppose the NTA or Culturama embarks upon an overseas promotion and want to have the song being performed live. That person must be available to travel and to be a part of the promotional team.
All entries must be submitted on CD to the Nevis Tourism Authority at the A.L. Evelyn Building in Charlestown by 4 p.m. on July 24th, 2020, or emailed in MP3 format to info@nevisisland.com.
Participants are to submit their songs as a solo performer. Caribbean elements such as the fife, the steel pan, African drums, and any other such elements can be incorporated into the song. Now, the song must have a minimum of 2 verses and 2 choruses. The song must be no longer than 3.5 minutes. We said 3.5 minutes, but we would accept songs up to 4 minutes. The musical accompaniment for the song must consist of a blend of at least 5 of the following instruments: drums, percussions, piano, bass guitar, rhythm guitar, synthesizers, strings, lead vocals, and backing vocals that are well balanced, well blended into a professional or semi-professional final product. Now, the song must be produced utilizing the musical skills or talents of local producers. The singer's vocals must be audible. The use of positive, uplifting lyrics would also be a plus.
Liburd encouraged the participants to be creative.
The lyrics, melody, and musical arrangements of the song must be original. The songs must be original and must not have been entered in any previously organized contest. Rule 12 says the song should not have been previously released on any platform.
The winner of the competition, who will be announced on July 31st, 2020, will earn a $5,000 award, among other incentives. For more information on the Nevis Song Competition, visit the Nevis Tourism Authority's website, nevisisland.com, or the Culturama Secretariat's website, culturamanevis.com. That's it for this edition of the Nevis Newscast. On behalf of all of us here at the Department of Information, I am Vonti Swanston Hendrickson. Thank you for viewing.